Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video I'm going to explain you the topic with the help of the book, because during this COVID timing I found that few students are not having their books and few are having book and they want to understand each and every topic by book. So I have decided to make the video and try to explain you as class work. So let's see how I'm going to explain you the topic. This is your concise physics book for standard 9 and I'm going to explain you Newton's first law of motion and inertia. If you want to check its video, you can go through my other videos also. I will share the link in description. If you want to see the concept of all the laws of motion or Newton's laws of motion. So here I am going to explain the topic with the help of the book. So let's see. Especially this video is for those students who are not having their book because of the COVID. They are not able to buy the book, but they want to learn. So say children, what is written? I am going to read and then I will explain. Newton's first law of motion. In previous chapter we have read that the linear motion, we have read about that. Now the question arises, what is the cause of motion? Try to understand why any body moves, why there is change of the place of any item. That is what produces motion in an object. If I am moving my pen from here to there, why this happens? Why there is movement in this body? It is our common experience that a force is to be applied on an object to produce motion on it. If I want to push my book from here to there, I have to apply a force on it, right? If I am showing you something on the book and my pen moves from here to there, I am applying force on this body. So if I want to move any body, if you want to see any body is in motion, there must be some force applied on it. Okay. So for example, what is given in book? To move a cycle, the cyclist has to apply force on its pedal. In a car, the petrol engine provides the force needed to move the car. To move a horse cart, the horse applies force by stretching its muscles. I hope these three examples are clear to you. That if you can see that, okay, someone is there and that person is riding cycle or driving a car, or there is an horse cart, so you or bullock cart, you can understand why there is movement in these bodies, in these vehicles. To move a boat ahead, a force is applied by the oar on the water to push it backward, and the force of reaction exerted by water moves the boat ahead. See, when we are going to for boating, what happens? See, the person, whoever is sitting on the boat, what he is doing? That person moves the oar in backward direction. He applies force in backward direction and then the boat moves in forward direction. This is the example when the movement of the body is just on the opposite direction of the force, but still here also you see that motion on this body is because force is applied. Okay, so now let's see what. Before Galileo, scientists were of the view that a force is needed not only to start a motion but also to keep an object moving even with uniform velocity. In other words, an object remains in motion so long as the external force applied to produce motion remains present. That is, a force must act continuously to keep the body in motion. This view was based on the observation that the motion of a body ceases when the force is withdrawn from it. Try to understand what is the meaning of this paragraph. Before Newton, Galileo has given the explanation of law of motion. But before Galileo, rest other scientists were thinking that, see, if anybody will move until and unless we will apply force on it, if we will stop the that force which makes it's to be in motion, if we are going to stop the supply of that force, then body will stop. It is not going to move. But in, later on it is explained that no, this conception is totally wrong. That I will explain you later on. For example, this example is about the previous scientist, when the first law of motion was not given by Newton, or this law is not explained by Galileo. Before that, what was the thinking of scientists? That if any body, if this body is kept over here and I want to make move this body, so I have to apply the force. That is the necessity to move the body. And if I want to keep it in motion, then I have to continuously apply the force. This was the conception of the previous scientist. For example, a cycle remains moving so long the force is applied on its pedal. If we stop pushing the pedal, the cycle stops. Similarly, if we turn off the engine of a car, the car stops. The horse cart stops after the horse stop moving, and the boat stops after we stop pushing the oar. Then what Galileo explained? Galileo did not approve the above view. He said, no, this is not correct conception. He said something else. From his experiment, he found that no force is needed to continue the motion of a moving body. If a body is set in motion, it will remain in motion even when the force applied to set the body in motion is withdrawn, provided that there is no other force such as friction, etc., to oppose the motion. This is the basic concept of Newton's first law, which is previously given by Galileo. What he said? If any body is in motion because of the force applied, then it will keep moving. Even you are going to withdraw that force, still it will move if there is no presence of force of friction. Okay. From our everyday life experience, we know that when a ball is kicked, it moves a certain distance before coming to rest. In fact, it stops due to the force of friction between the ball and the ground. You think about the cricket pitch or football ground, when a cricketer or footballer hit the ball or kick the ball, what happened? The ball starts moving. Okay, the ball starts moving from one place to the other end of that place. So it will roll down, and after few minutes, what happened? It will stop. But Galileo said that it will continuously moving if there is no force of friction, because we know that force of friction always work in opposite direction. As the person, it may be the batsman or the footballer or goalkeeper kicked the football or hit the ball, so there is motion in this body and it will continuously moving if there is no force of friction. Okay, so this concept was given by Galileo. In fact, it stops due to the force of friction between the ball. Why it stops? Galileo says that it will continuously moving if there is no force of friction. Then why that ball stops? Because of the force of friction between the ball and the ground. If friction between the ball and the ground is reduced by kicking the ball on a smooth road, it travels comparatively a much longer distance before coming to rest. If somehow it would have been possible to reduce the force of friction completely, the ball would have remained in motion forever after kicking it once. If anyhow we will make a situation, or anyhow we create a scenario where there is no force of friction and we will kick that ball, it will continuously move throughout the day or throughout the life. Okay, the ball would have remained in motion forever after kicking it once. Thus, it is concluded that in the absence of the force of friction, no force is required to keep an object moving after bringing it in motion. If you want, you can underline this line. In other words, an object, if once set in motion, listen carefully children, an object, if once set in motion, moves with uniform velocity if no force acts on it. Thus, a body continues to be in the state of rest or in the state of uniform motion unless an external force is applied on it. This is called Galileo's law of inertia. From the above discussion, we conclude that if a body is at rest, it remains at rest unless a force is applied on it. I have kept this pen here. It will be there at rest until and unless I will apply a force on it to move. Okay. Similarly, if a body is in motion and there is not any opposite force is applied on it to stop it, for example, frictional force, then it will keep going, it will continuously moving. Okay, if a body is moving, it will continue to move with the same speed in the same direction unless a force is applied on it. Now see then what Newton did here with this concept. Newton put the above observation in the form of a law which is called the Newton's first law of motion. See, the basic thing was given by Galileo, but it is properly explained and proved by Newton. And what he said, see, according to Newton's first law of motion, if a body is in state of rest, it will remain in the state of rest, and if it is in state of motion, it will remain moving in the same direction with the same speed unless an external force is applied on it to stop it. I hope it is clear. If someone will ask you what is Newton's first law of motion, this is first law of motion. What is Galileo's law of inertia? This is your Galileo's law of inertia, right children? Now qualitative discussion. Newton's first law can understood in the following two parts: definition of inertia and definition of force. With the help of the first law of motion given by Newton, we can explain, we can give definition of two things, that is definition of inertia and definition of force. See, since standard 5 or 6 we started writing the definition of force in different way. For example, when we are the student of junior classes, we started the line, children, pull or push is called as force, because at that timing you were very small child, not able to understand all these things, inertia and all. So slowly we started explaining the topic. Now when you understood the topic, that what is first law of motion given by Newton, with if you understood that concept, then you are able to define force better than that definition when we are simply writing that push or pull is known as force. So let's see how we can explain, or we can derive the definition of inertia and force with the help of Newton's law, Newton's first law. Definition of inertia. In the first part, Newton's first law gives the definition of inertia, according to which an object, if someone will ask you what is inertia, this is the answer. An object cannot change its state by itself. If the object is in the state of rest, it will remain in the state of rest, and if it is moving in some direction, it will continue to move with the same speed in the same direction unless an external force is applied on it. So what is inertia? This is the inertia. For example, a book lying on a table top will remain placed at its place unless it is displaced. Similarly, a ball rolling on a horizontal plane keeps on rolling unless the force of friction between the ball and the plane stops it. The property of an object by virtue of which it tends to retain its state of rest or motion is called inertia. It is the inherent property of each object. It may be living body, it may be non-living body. Okay. So now what is inertia? This is your answer. Now definition of force with the help of Newton's first law. The second part of Newton's first law defines force according to which force is that external cause which can move a stationary object or which can change the state of motion of a moving object. This is the definition of force according to Newton's first law of motion. For example, a book lying on a table gets displaced from its place when it is pushed. See, now my book is at rest, in rest position. Now I am going to push it. So when we apply force, then it will change its place. See, if I am applying force from this direction, it moves forward. If I am going to pull it, applying force in opposite direction, its direction changes. Okay. Thus, force is qualitatively defined as follows. Force is that external cause which tends to change the state of rest or the state of motion of an object. So, simply you can write the definition of force, this one, and definition of inertia, this, with the help of first law of motion. One thing we have to note down, force is a vector quantity. I hope you knew that what is vector quantity. That physical quantity where the magnitude is given as well as direction is also given. Second, the sum of two equal and opposite forces is 0. You just think I am applying force from both direction, equal forces, maybe 5 Newton forward and at the same timing 5 Newton backward. So if I am applying at the same timing equal force, they from this side and from that side, so resultant force, what is the displacement of this body? That will be 0. Okay, that's why it is written the sum of two equal and opposite forces is 0. A body acted upon by several forces can also have the resultant net force on it equal to 0. Now, what is mass and inertia? Inertia is an inherent property of each body. By already we have learned that thing in what is inertia. Now we are going to learn in detail the same thing. It is an inherent property of each body by virtue of which it has tendency to resist the change in its state of rest or state of motion. The property of inertia is because of the mass of the body. The greater the mass, the greater is the inertia of the body. For example, you just think, children, near my house there is a small brick on the road and I want to displace it because it is at the middle of the road, and there is a stone just beside that brick. So I want to keep it somewhere else because it blocks the road. So it is very easy for me to apply force on this brick and displace its position or put it somewhere else, but it is difficult for me to displace this stone. Why? Because the mass of this body is more. So rest of so this body or the stone will want to be in rest position because mass is more. So I have to apply much more force to change its rest position. Here the mass of the body is very less, so it is very easy to change its position. That's why it is written. See, the property of inertia is because of the mass of the body. The greater the mass, the greater is the inertia of the body. Since it is a heavy body, so its inertia to be in rest position is more, and it is very difficult for me to bring it in motion, while here the mass is less, so inertia of rest is very less for this brick, and it is very easy for me to bring it in motion. Okay, I hope now this line is clear. Thus a lighter body has less inertia than a heavier body. In other words, more the mass of a body, more difficult it to move the body from rest or to stop the body if it is initially in motion. Thus mass is a measure of inertia. Try to understand, children. You just think you are standing, you are playing on road, on a ground, one person call you that please push my truck because I am not able to start my vehicle. So I think you are not able to push it because it's very heavy, and in place of that truck, if there is bicycle or a scooty and a person call you that push my scooty so that I can start my vehicle, you can easily push it. Why? Both the body is at rest, but here see the change. What is the change? Mass of the truck is much more as compared to the scooty. That's why it is difficult to bring that truck in motion by applying little bit force, because you are a small child, so you can apply a small amount of force. Okay, so I hope now it is clear. The mass is measure of inertia. For example, a cricket ball is more massive than a tennis ball. The cricket ball acquires much smaller velocity than a tennis ball. When the two balls are pushed with equal force for the same duration, in case when they are moving with the same velocity, it is more difficult to stop the cricket ball which has more mass in comparison to the tennis ball which has less mass. You just think you hit the ball, tennis ball as well as cricket ball, that is hard ball, with the same force, and both the balls are moving with same speed. So it is, if it is tennis ball and this is cricket ball, both the bodies are moving, their size is same but their mass is different. Since its mass is more, but it is a heavy ball, it is the lighter ball. So to stop this ball is easy as compared to this ball because here mass is more. Okay, now second example, it is difficult, that is a larger force is required to set a loaded trolley which has more mass in motion than an unloaded trolley which has less mass. Similarly, it is difficult to stop a loaded trolley than an unloaded one if both are moving initially with the same velocity. Children, I hope you must have seen at railway station or at airport trolleys. You just think there are two trolleys. One is empty, nothing is kept over here, and second trolley So many items are bags and luggages are kept over here, cartoons and all the things. So it is very difficult to move this trolley where there is so much load on the trolley or any vehicle. It is very difficult to bring it in motion. In place of this, it is very easy to move because mass is less, here mass is more. So this body want to be in rest, so we have to apply so much force to bring it in motion, while this body easily change its rest position. If we are applying little bit force, it will start moving. Similarly, when you are it will in motion, these both trolleys are in motion. It is very difficult to stop this trolley because now it is in motion, and this is also in motion. So by applying little bit force, we can stop this trolley, and to stop this trolley we have to apply so much force. Same thing happened with the heavy vehicles. That's why the drivers of heavy vehicles are very special and trained drivers. Not any common man can drive the heavy vehicles, okay, like trailer and trucks. Okay children, that is the reason, because to start and to run that vehicle which is heavy, we need so much force, and to stop that that is also a difficult task. I hope now this topic is clear. As now we understand that what is inertia. Inertia is the property of an object by virtue of which it tends to retain its state of rest or of motion is called inertia. It is an inherent property of any object. Now we are going to learn about the kinds of inertia. What are the different types of inertia and its example as illustration of first law. We are going to understand about the two different types of inertia, and that is linked with first law of motion. So let's see. Inertia is of the following two types or two kinds. First is inertia of rest and inertia of motion. First, what is inertia of rest? If a body is at rest, it will remain at rest unless an external force is applied to change its state of rest. This property of body is called the inertia of the rest. See, this is my book. I am going to keep it here on my table. It will be there till the end of my life, or throughout the day till tomorrow, for week, for month, until and unless me, myself or any other person will apply force on it to change its position. So this is its inherent property. What is that? To be in rest, because the body is in rest, so it want to be in rest. Okay children. Similarly, we will learn about the inertia of motion. Before that, we are going to see the example, live example in our general life example, the examples of inertia of rest. When a train suddenly starts, not only train, you have felt in your vehicles, two-wheeler or your car, anywhere you have observed this thing. When a train suddenly starts moving forward, the passenger standing in the compartment tends to fall backward. See, when train starts moving, what happened? The persons who have, this was the train and people were standing on the compartment or in the bus. What happened? As this train starts moving, because of the force applied by the engine, the machine started, okay, but the persons whoever was standing there, their body moves backward because they were in rest position, so they still want to be in rest position. That's why when the engine is starts for to be in motion, the vehicle moves forward, but the people whoever was sitting or standing inside the vehicle, their body moves backward. And when the engine pilot or any other vehicle driver apply brake, what happened? The vehicle stops and the persons moves forward, because now their bodies are in motion and still they want to be in motion, isn't it? You have felt all these things, you have seen in your own life also in daily example. So same thing written here. See, when a train suddenly starts moving forward, the passenger standing in the compartment tends to fall backward. The reason is that the lower part of the passenger's body is in close contact with the train. I hope it is not visible on screen. Yeah, now it is visible. so lower part of the body is in close contact with the train. As the train starts moving, his lower part shares the motion at once. Quickly, our foot, which is in touch with the floor of the train, train or other vehicle, shares the motion at once. Okay, see, we are standing on the in the compartment of the train. As train starts moving, our body, lower body, which is in touch with the floor, it quickly shares the motion at once. But upper part, which is not in touch directly or not in touch with the floor, it takes time to become in motion. That is explained here. You see, as the train starts moving, his lower part shares the motion at once, but the upper part, due to inertia of rest, cannot share the motion simultaneously, and so it tends to remain at the same place. Consequently, the lower part of the body moves ahead and the upper part is left behind, so the passenger tends to fall backward. Okay, now see the second example. When a hanging carpet is beaten with a stick, the dust particle starts falling out of it. The reason is that the part of the carpet where the stick strikes comes in motion at once, while the dust particle settled on its fur remains in position due to inertia of rest. Thus, the part of the carpet moves ahead with the stick, leaving behind the dust particles which fall down due to the earth's pull. Try to understand what happened. See, this is the carpet, and what we are going to do, we want to clean it. So we hit it with the sticks. Okay, we hold it and we try to beat it with the stick. Then what happened? There is movement in the fibers of the carpet, but the dust particles which are between these fibers, they want to remain at its position, and when we hit it, there is motion in the fibers of the carpet, but the dust particle want to be at its own place. That's why carpet starts moving, but particle want to stay there. Okay, and it can't stay there because there is gravitational force also, so it is attracted towards the earth because of the gravitational pull. That thing explained here. Third example, on shaking or giving jerk to the branches of a tree, the fruits fall down. The reason is that when the stem or the branches of the tree are shaken, they come in motion, while the fruits, due to inertia, see, as the fruits ripen, its mass increases. Okay, then what happen? As we know that's in mass increase, so it will want to remain in at rest position, and when we start shaking the branches, that branch will move, but the fruit want to be there only, and then it detach from the tree and fallen down because of the gravitational force. Same thing explained here. The reason is that when the stem of the tree are shaken, they come in motion, while the fruits, due to inertia, remain in the state of rest. Thus, the massive and weakly attached fruits get detached from the branches, not the raw fruits, all the ripened fruits, okay, because they became heavy, okay, and fall down due to the pull of gravity. Next thing, on striking. Now, see the next example. We will see about this one. On striking the coin at the bottom of a pile of carom coins with a striker, lowest coin only moves away while the rest of the pile remains intact. So children, you must have observed this experiment. When you are putting so many coins on one another in carom board, when you are playing carom board, and you are going to hit it with the help of the striker, then what happened? Only this will, the lowest one move, this coin will move, it will change its plane, and rest all come down. Why? Because these, at the bottom coin we applied force, so it became in motion, while the rest all want to still be in rest position. Okay, so this is an example of rest of inertia. So one more example, when a smooth card placed over the mouth of a tumbler is flicked sharply in the horizontal direction, The card flies away, but the coin kept over the card falls into the tumbler. I have seen few children have made a video on this topic. So what they did, they took a glass, kept a hardboard here and a coin. They hit it here. They hit it, and then card displays its position because we apply force on it. See, we apply force on the cardboard, so its position changes while the coin which is kept over the hardboard comes down, because still coin want to be at its own position, that is in rest position, but the cardboard is not here to balance it. That's why it fall down because of the gravitational force. See, now see the next example. When a corridor train suddenly starts, the sliding doors of the some compartments may open. The reason is that the frame of the sliding door, being in contact with the floor of the train, also come in motion on start of the train, but the sliding door remains in its position due to inertia. Thus the frame moves ahead with the train while the door slides opposite to the direction of the motion of the train. Thus the door may open. That also you have observed in a train. Now the second type of inertia, that is inertia of motion, just opposite to the inertia of rest. See, what is that? A body in a state of motion continues to be in the state of motion with the same speed in the same direction in a straight line unless an external force is applied on it to change its state. This property of body is called the inertia of the motion. This body is in motion. I have applied a force. If there is no frictional force, then it will remain in motion. For example, a cyclist riding along a level road does not come to rest immediately after the stop. He stops pedaling. See, if there is a road like this where there is a slope, you have observed that if any cyclist is riding there and if he stops pedaling, still the cycle moves downward without pedaling also. Why? Because frictional force, yes, there is frictional force which opposes the bicycle, but there is gravitational force also, and the body itself want to be in motion. That's why it continues moving. This example is given here as first example. Second example, when a passenger jumps out of a moving train, he falls down. Why he falls down? That's why it is compulsory that if you want to come out of the train, please wait until and unless the train will stop, then only you come out from the train or any vehicle. Okay, and if it is emergency that you want to come out from the running train, then what you have to do, please wait for the speed when it will decrease and it became very slow. Then if you come out from the train, then do one thing. If the direction of the train is in its direction and you are coming out because of the emergency and the speed is very slow, then when you are going to come out, you try to run for few 2, 3, 4, 5 steps in the same direction. Then there is less chances that you will fall down, because your body is in motion. You are in train, your body is in motion. So if you will directly jump, you will fall down because your body want to be in motion. That's why you fall down. You can't balance your body. To stop that, to come out this problem, we have to run in same direction. That's why you must observe that any person who is running out from the buses, they come out and they run with the buses to control or to balance their body, because he has to stop his body and his body want to be in state of motion. Slowly he has to apply force to on his own body or her own body to stop himself or herself. So that is the thing which is written here. See the next example. When a running car stops suddenly, the passenger tends to lean forward. Already I have explained you in previous topic when I was explaining you about the inertia of motion. When a train is in rest and suddenly it starts moving, then our body moves backward. Same thing here you have to understand. When your train or any car or any other vehicle is in motion and suddenly we apply brake, then our body moves forward, because our body want to be in motion because of this property, what? Inertia of motion. That thing explained here in third point. Now see the fourth example. An athlete often runs before taking a long jump. The reason is that by running, he brings his entire body in the state of motion. When the body is in motion, it becomes easier to take a long jump. Next example, a ball thrown vertically upward by a person in a moving train comes back to his hand. Why? The reason is that at the moment when the ball was thrown, it was in motion along with the person and the train. It remains in the same state of forward motion even during the time the ball remains in air. The person, the inside air and the ball all move ahead by the same distance due to inertia, and so the ball falls back into his palm on its return. So these examples can be asked as the give reason questions. Okay children, so I hope the topic is clear, and if you want to the concept clearance video, then you must watch my concept videos, and if you want the chapter videos more and more, please comment so that I can make videos on chapters also. Thank you.